Hansei, reflection before improvement. I love this video and I hope you stick around with me because this applies to every aspect of our work and you're going to learn a lot right now that I saw firsthand in Japan. Let me talk about this. When we visited the schools, they were phenomenal. The kids are so polite. I remember there was this one funny story. All of us visitors with Paul's group were in the back. A cute little Japanese boy came up and just got in front of me very quietly and just looked at me with a very kind face. He didn't know what to say. He didn't speak English, but I was like, hi, I didn't know what he wanted. And I finally figured out I was in his way. But instead of like moving me or like doing anything like that, he just politely waited. I was like, oh, okay, I'll move out of the way. And then he put his lunch pail back and then he said, thank you. It was very, very polite. Anyway, in these schools, the kids serve themselves, meaning they put on little hats and all this stuff and their masks and they serve the other kids, fill up their plates. All the kids go back to their desks and once everybody has their food, they have a signal where anybody who doesn't want all of their food comes back up and they give clean food that hasn't been touched back in that can go somewhere else without being wasted. And then they go back to their desks and everybody eats. And when the kids turn in their plates, everything's gone. And you find very few people overweight. It's like 1, 2, or 3% over there. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being overweight. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying naturally because of their food and their environment and their habits, human beings aren't accidentally tending in that direction, which we can find very difficult sometimes simply because of our environment. They are so polite. Then they clean up after themselves and 5S, I saw them myself, 5S their own desks and they clean the school and everything and they all do it with a smile. Nobody's fighting. Nobody's like, oh, I don't want to do that. The parents even come and participate. It's absolutely phenomenal. It is just a really cool experience. And one of the things that Japanese kids are taught early on is Hansei, this concept of reflection. And Mami-san, who was with Paul-san on the tour, they were hosting this whole trip, she said, no, Paul-san, it's not that they simply reflect, it's that they say, this is wrong. I did this wrong. They admit that the action, not the human, was wrong. So in the United States, we'd be like, I'm not wrong. I get defensive. Why are you making fun of me? Why are you shaming me? No, the Japanese have a very good way of separating the action from the human. They don't blame people. They blame the behavior or the process or the system or the culture or the environment. This was wrong. And so then I actually heard a Japanese kid say, okay, I wanted to go back in and get my hat. That was a process problem that was wrong. Not exactly that way, but he was talking about the process because the hat was an interruption to when we were cleaning. It kept me from cleaning. And so next time I will understand that going back to get my hat is not a part of the process. And I will go straight to doing my chores as a countermeasure and this will not happen again. Western countries are always like, oh, the Asian cultures have a shame culture. No, they don't. Like I have not seen that. I have not heard that. I have not heard anybody that's lived there for long periods of time ever say that. They help each other, they behave together, they work together, and they have reflections. Hansei. Here's how this applies to construction. Paul Akers, who's probably one of the top, or if not the top international lean experts who took over those tours from Norman Bodek, 45 times a day he'll be like, I did that wrong. That behavior was not accurate. I apologize everybody for wasting your time. This is what I'm going to do. 45 times a day, literally acknowledging, hey, this wasn't right. And so it's not people shaming each other, it's people taking accountability, extreme ownership. And he loves it. He's like, I love being wrong because now I can get better and not be a burden to other people. And so 45 times a day, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And the core is, in Western cultures, we've got to get rid of this blaming people. And I'm not trying to make fun, but every government would be better off if we stopped throwing people away and actually had programs to help them. Every scientist would be better off instead of throwing people away, trying to improve the genetics of society. Every religion would do better if we got rid of this concept that somehow God would send people to hell, which will never be true. And we've got to get rid of this, oh, there's a homeless person under the bridge, they brought that on themselves. We have got to understand that almost all of these things are system problems and that humans are inherently good. Even in the worst people in society, it's not the person themselves, it's the system, the process, the environment, the culture, culture, the behavior, or their genetic wiring. We're going to find out that even some of the craziest things that happen with human beings, that their brains were wired improperly. This leads to two positive outcomes. Number one, it prevents us from throwing people away, and number two, we're able to find the root cause of the problem. Instead of saying, oh, the Jeffrey Dahmers and Hitlers of the world, they're just evil, burning in hell for eternity. Oh, hey, wait, what actual genetic wiring went wrong? Let's engineer that so it doesn't happen to our kids, and let's prevent it from happening in the future, is a better response than just throwing people away. In our cultures, we've got to say humans are good, but it's always the system, the process, or the prompted behavior, almost like you're prompting AI. The culture, the environment, or the genetic wiring of the individual. Now, we can't change the genetic engineering of the individual, so sometimes it's like, you know, if you're even here, you have to be at a certain level. But all of the other things we can dig into and figure out. And so, if humans could disconnect themselves from blaming themselves versus blaming the process, we could say, oh no, that behavior was wrong. That behavior that I did, and I now have a better prompt, that was wrong. This is what I will do, and here's the countermeasure. We would be so much better off because not having that prevents us from identifying and discussing and solving problems. And so where we really need this in companies is IDS. Where are the problems? Discuss them and solve them. In our department or functional group, where are the problems? Let's discuss them and solve them. On the job site, trade partners, tell me. Instead of shutting up the most vocal trade partner and saying he's a nuisance, be like, oh, thank you for that very much, and create a culture of safety and transparency. And then with crews, they planned, built, and finished a zone. Let's have a Hansei. Let's literally go reflect and say, I think the generator was in the wrong spot. Let's move it here. I think that ladder is not the right ladder for us. This practice is going to change literally everything for us, and it's absolutely phenomenal. So I would challenge all of us to really take this to the nth degree. Here's my question. Can you on a daily basis, as a part of your leader standard work, this is a challenge Paul gave me, can you start saying in your organization, hey, your idea is better than mine, and when a mistake is made, without blaming your natural soul, your conscience, or yourself, say, hey, that behavior was wrong. I'm sorry. This is what I'll do in the future, and freely admit your mistakes and create a culture where we can bring all problems to the surface. Hansei, very important concept, and it really will allow us to move forward because you get traction, just like the book says with Gina Wickman, once we're able to identify, discuss, and solve problems, and we'll never do that as long as Americans and Westerners believe that it's attacking or disrespecting a person. So we have to separate the criticism of people and understand that we're being hard on the process to benefit the people. We're not actually being hard on the people. We've got to separate that. We don't blame people. We blame the process, the system, the culture, the prompted behavior, or the genetic wiring. And that way, as a society, we will get better. If God exists in a religious perspective, he or she wants us to improve humanity, and if there is no God, then it is our job as humanity to evolve past all of these problems so that our species can survive. It's only common sense. And so Japanese, they're pretty much humanity 2.0. We can learn a lot from them, and we've got to understand this concept of Hansei. I hope you've enjoyed this video. On we go.